Hey guys, Scout Football Scoop. Today we're back on the Inside Scoop. We've got Coach Alan Hall, as head coach at Northwestern Oklahoma State. Program's moving up from NAIA to Division II. Hey, Coach.
How you doing, Scott? Good morning.
I appreciate you being on. Give us a little bit. I appreciate you taking time, right before game week. Tell me about this transition. This is the first year you'll play D2, right?
That's correct. We were just accepted into the NCAA Division II candidacy back on July the 11th. And that's a 3-year process for us in terms of becoming full members in the NCAA. We have been accepted into the Great America Conference, which was a nice pull for us and to be able to play in a great conference with regional games, those schools being comprised of Arkansas schools and Oklahoma schools. So we're excited about that. Also gives us a chance to renew some old rivalries. Southwestern, excuse me, is a big rivalry for us, and I think the two schools stopped playing for a while because of Southwestern's schedule in the GAC and Northwestern still being NAIA. So we get to renew or rekindle some of those old rivalries, and that's a good thing. But the big exciting news is us being part of the NCAA now in Division II, and what that brings in terms of a brand for academics and what it brings in terms of a level of competition that hasn't been here before. The program has had a lot of history in the NAIA level, having won the national championship in 1999 and also played for it in 2000, 2001. And that's where we would like to continue this trend in the NCAA. So it's a very exciting time for us right now. It's leading to a lot more opportunities in terms of recruiting and national exposure, and that's something we're very proud about.
So you get hired this past December, knowing that this is coming, this step up to D2. Tell me about building a D2 program or transitioning to a D. It's a big mindset change, right, for the players?
Well, very much so, and I appreciate the question, because when I was hired on December 1st, there was no guarantee we were in. We didn't get in until July, so we were in the application process, and it was somewhat of a blind leap of faith coming here on the happenstance we do get in. And having worked for the athletic director before, I knew what kind of person he is, and when he sets his mind to something, it usually winds up working out in his favor. And so having that trust and commitment in him, and also Dr. Cunningham, our president, has done an outstanding job leading us into this transition. But from a football standpoint, it is a process. It's a growing process in terms of changing the culture and the dynamic of what our fans and boosters and alumni perceive the program, as well as what our current players and future players see in our program. There's a heightened level of competition at this level in this conference, and it's a far greater task as opposed to playing in the NAIA. This is a 12-month commitment, really, in terms of preparation, off-season conditioning, summer weight program, those types of things, and it's not something that is that commonplace for around here. I know in speaking to some of my brethren across the conference, a lot of guys, 60, 65, 70 players all summer on campus working out, throwing at night, 7-on-7, doing those types of things to get better in order to compete. And I don't blame them a bit. You contrast that with us, who we were lucky on any one given day if we had 8. But again, that's part of changing the culture and the mindset in our players in terms of what's going to be expected of them moving forward in this process in Division II, as well as the Great America Conference.
Yeah, Coach, I talk to coaches all the time. A D2 coach said to me the other day, he was talking kind of along the same lines of it's a 12-month deal, and he was telling me that some of, actually a good number of his coaches aren't on 12-month contracts. So there's some off time in the summer where he's down a number of coaches. How about you guys? What do you got?
That's I'd love to know that, because I can feel his pain. I have got right now my staff is comprised of 2 full-time assistants. I've got five grad assistants. I've got 1 volunteer and 1 undergrad assistant intern. My 5 grad assistants are probably grad assistants only on paper, and probably in their wallet. The biggest headache I have with my 5 grad assistants is that they're only on 10-month contracts. So they're not here June and July unless they volunteer their time to stay here and help us however they can. When you're 80% of your staff is off for 2 months in the summer right before you report to camp, it can somewhat be cumbersome in terms of the workload on the full-time assistants. We've got a strategic plan in place to start adding a full-time assistant every year, until we get to a manageable level. But it's, again, everything here is a work in progress in terms of the growth moving forward in the NCAA.
Yeah, but I'm glad to hear y'all have that plan, that commitment. I mean, that's a big deal.
And very much so. Again, I can't speak enough to the commitment and the dedication of resources that Dr. Cunningham, our president, and Andy Carter, our athletic director, has put behind the athletic move into Division II and the GAC in terms of all programs, not just ours, but the level of support that the cabinet and the community and everyone is showing really makes this somewhat less painful than what it would be had we not had those things.
So with this being the first year playing in conference, I presume you guys aren't eligible for postseason, or?
No, we because of our candidacy in the NCAA, we're not viable for playoff contention until we are a full member of the NCAA, and that's a 3-year process. So in actuality, we will have to compete for 3 years before we're eligible for the playoffs. Now, according to my understanding, the Great American Conference has afforded us the luxury of possibly earning conference championships, as well as our players earning individual conference awards, whether they be academic or athletic, all conference nominations and those types of things. So
that's great.
That is a nice carrot that the GAC has extended us, and we're very appreciative of that.
That's a good thing. That's the right thing to do. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, Coach, it's been a pleasure having you on here. I'd love to get you back during the season. I know time gets a little tight then, but just talk about how it's going and the progression and how the program's building.
Great, Scott. Anytime. I'd love to chat with you, and I will keep you up to date with how everything is.
Good luck this season, Coach. Thanks.
Thanks very much.